What's up, bitches? Huh? What? Alright, let me calm down. It's been a while. I haven't done another tutorial, so let me get my composure. Do it. What is wrong with him? Oh, she's like, what? You crazy mother? What? You crazy for what? Alright, guys. So I'm gonna teach you how to do lip sync animation in this tutorial. So let me calm down. Let me take a breather. I'll be right back. Just gonna show you how I like to set up my scene here. So I like to work with two panels, which is the front viewport. So if I do shift, space, and then right click, and then I can go to front viewport, and you can see your character here. Whoa! And then you can see you have your what you call a graphical user interface, or we call it a GUI, GUI for short. And then over here on this side we have our character. So what I like to do is hide everything. So go to show none, and then just do show polygons. So this way I only see my character. And then on this side I don't want to see the character, I just want to see these little curves and controllers. So do none again, and then show nerves curves. This way I only see all the little controllers and I don't see the character. So now that I have my setup, go down to my preferences, make sure I'm gonna make the height of my timeline bigger so you guys can see it. So I'm gonna do 2 times bigger, and then my keyframe size to 3 so you guys can see it. And I'm doing real time 30 frames per second. So save this, and now press 6 on my keyboard to show the textures. And this is the character that I'm going to be working with. And now to show you guys how to import your voiceover so you can see it here on your timeline, you go to File, Import, and then just find that audio. So I have one called Female Voice, and it's a WAV file. I don't think Maya reads MP3s. It only takes WAV files, and I think it has to be 8-bit and mono for Maya to read it. So if you know how to convert it, or you have a converting program, you can do that. So click on it and then import, and then you should see it here on your timeline. If you don't see your wave here on your timeline, so if I hit play right now,
I know what he said. I know what he said.
It's looping. So this is what we're going to work with. Her line is, I know what he said.
I know what he said.
Okay, if you don't see your wave, just right click on your timeline, go to sound. It might be set to off. So if it's set to off, you don't see it. Go to sound again. If you select use track sounds, that means you're only gonna hear the voiceover when you hit play.
I know what he said. I know what he said.
If I scrub through it on the timeline, you don't hear anything. Which typically I don't like to work with this one, because when we're doing lip syncing, you want to be able to scrub through the timeline and hear the voiceover. So right click, go to sound, female voice. Now you see the wave. Now if I scrub through it,
I know what he said.
you can almost play it in like slow motion, which is very useful for animation.
I know what he said.
Hit play.
I know what he said.
You can even scrub backwards. This way she's speaking in Hebrew.
I know what he said.
So now that we have our character set up and we have our controllers, if you want to offset your audio, you go to sound and you go to this option box, and then that's going to open up your audio attributes. So you can offset it here. Say you want it to start at frame 10. See, now it starts at frame 10. So mess around with these settings if you want. Here you can sort of cut your audio, so it has a end frame of it, an end source. You know, just slice and dice it. however you want, but I'm going to zero this out. I don't want any offset right now, and I'm happy with the defaults. And if you want to change your audio to something else, you can go here to this little folder and you can select another audio. So it's going to replace the one that you have here. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you want to delete your audio, this will get rid of all of your audios that you have in here. You're going to go to edit and then delete all by type, and then you see here it says sounds. As soon as you click on that, your audio will be deleted and you won't have anything in your Maya file. So I'm not going to do that right now. That's just for you guys to know. Alright, so let me tell you my method first. My first method for animating is I have two ways of animating. One is the quick way and one is the long ways. The long ways gives you better results and it looks more fluid, and the other method is a lot faster. Say for example you have a deadline that you have to meet and you don't really have time to do 2 passes on your lip syncing, then you can use the second method. But in this video I'm only going to cover the first method. Alright, so you guys are going to see the long ways because it looks better. Alright, so what I like to do here is first get to know your character. Grab some of these controllers and mess with them, see what happens. You look at your character over here, make sure you're getting some good movement, good deformations. Puppy eyes. You can select multiple controllers here. So this is the right eye, this is the left eye. I can grab them both, and then now she's, oh, what? She's looking around, she's blinking, looking up sexy and pretty. Squint. This controller is screwed up, so I'm probably not going to use it. Sync controller. I like to use Synch controller, which is just, it has jaw drop and it has a press when you go up, then when you go left and right you get like this U, and when you go right you get a mouth stretch, which are very useful. Jaw control, you get some of this offset in the jaw, which is useful. Mouth emotion, maybe smile, sad, nothing left and right. Okay. Eye controls, whatever, you know, gives her some attitude there. Up lip, just that top lip, it's not that great, but it works. The tongue, might want to open the mouth for that. La 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 la. Okay, you have that controller there, which works great. And you have all these other controllers. I don't know what they do. Oh, nice. Turns into a dog. I don't know what the hell. Smile. Now for these controllers, these are usually extras, which we added during production. This character, I cannot share it with you, so please do not ask me to share it with you, but I'm sure whatever character you have in your scene, it's still going to work fine. Alright, so please don't ask me to share this. I cannot share this character with you guys, so just go to creativecrash.com and look for some rigs on there for free, which they're pretty good. Most of them are pretty decent to do the lip syncing. So on this one, you select X for extra controllers, and you can even click on one of these, and then middle mouse, click and drag. Cheese, you know. You know, just mess around with these controllers. Blah! She's gonna throw up. Blah! Horrible animation. Blah! Press. Blah! Blah! I don't know. Smile. Some nice controllers here. Then you have your P for you can see here phonemes. Phonemes are very useful because they're just a small mouth shapes, or just a few mouth shapes that we can use to create pretty much any letter or any word in the English alphabet. So you can use any one of these, you're gonna be fine to do lip syncing. So you don't have to worry about creating every detail, every word. We never do that. You know, a lot of beginners think that, oh, we have to create a shape for every letter in the alphabet, and that's not true. You can actually get away with making some really nice animations just using the phonemes here. So you can see we have like A's, we have E's, we have O's and W's, a CH type of sound. We have M's and F's. That's pretty much all you need to create some good animation. And then we have sneers, which are extra controllers. If your character has them, fine, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. The only controls that I'm going to start off with is going to be the sync controller, which is going to be the jaw drops. So step one in doing lip syncing is first do the jaw drops. What do I mean by that? First is imagine your character is a puppet, like a Muppet pretty much. Like if he was a hand puppet and you wanted your character to talk, the only thing you can do is move your puppet's mouth open and close. So that's the very first step that I like to do. So listen to your audio, get to know what she's saying, and if you even have a script, read what she's saying to make sure that it follows your voiceover. So let's listen to this again.
I know what he said.
I know what he said. Okay, so now that you sort of memorize the dialogue, which you're gonna get this in your head over and over and over, and you cannot get tired of this because this is gonna be your job. And it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun.
I know what he said.
I know what he said. So first things first, set a keyframe on frame 0. Hit S. Make sure you have auto keyframe on. Make sure it's red. Once you have that, then you can start having some fun. So find your character's sync controller. If it's not called sync controller, and whatever it's called, just make sure you have this type of control. Just the jaw drops. Mama. Mama. Ma. So now that we have that, come over here to your channel box, zero it out. I know what he said. So the first word that we're gonna hit is I. So she's gonna open her mouth when she says I. So on the I. So it helps to scrub through it multiple times to try to find where you're gonna set that key. So for example, here I'm gonna go I somewhere here. She's opening her mouth somewhere here to say I. So maybe at 3. I'm only guessing here. I'm gonna set a key. I like to hit S on my keyboard, not so much just move the controller down, because that's just gonna set a keyframe on the translate Y, not on the X. Sometimes you want set keys on the X as well, so just hit S on your keyboard, and then just shape her mouth so that she's sort of saying the letter I, something like something like that. So scrub through it. Okay. Okay, now just let's guess here. What's gonna be the next word that she's gonna hit?
I know.
So somewhere here, she's saying I-E, so it's I. Now it's the E. Now the E sound is going to be closed. So we're only going to work with open and closed, what we call jaw drops. So remember, she's a little Muppet. We can only open and close her mouth first. So let's work with that. Somewhere at frame 6, it sounds like she's saying the E from I. So let's do something like that. Now this is our first pass, obviously, so let's not worry so much about timing. Let's worry about hitting every word on the jaw drops. Okay, so it's I know. So let's prepare for that.
I know.
So it's I know. I know. There's a little N part in there again. So it's sort of like a open, close, and then the N, we're still going to hold the close part. So it's somewhere here, 8 or 9, hit S to set another keyframe because she's still saying the end part. But let's not keep the same mouth shape. Let's just keep it moving. So I'm gonna tighten it up by closing it. Something like that. See how it keeps moving from 6 to 8? And then the next word, no, or the next jaw drop is going to be the O, no, I, no. And it helps if you have a mirror, because a lot of people are like, well, when do you do the jaw drops? When do you not? You know, grab a mirror, put your hand under your chin and say the lines. When your hand drops, that's a good spot to do a jaw drop, you know, just whatever works for you. Somewhere here is O, no. I can probably have this hit sooner. And then somewhere at 13 is the no, so like the W, no, or like a U sound. So it's gonna close, no. Now we're not worrying about the U shape of her lips, because when she says no, you're gonna get like this U type of shape. But right now we're only, like I said, concentrating on the jaw drop. So I'm gonna move a little quicker. So just watch what I'm doing. What? So a what? He, it's like a E, so something like that. And the E followed by an S is still closed with he's. So you're still keeping that E mouth shape in there. He, and then said, it's a A. And then close it over here. So let's hit play, see what we have.
I know what he said. 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 I know what he said.
This is a little too much, so let's bring it down. Scrub through it. And that's pretty much it.
I know what he said.
Now the best thing to do here is, you know, maximize this, make a play blast of it. Go to your settings. I like to use AVI, MS Cram, and 100% quality, scale 1, frame padding 4, doesn't matter. And you can save the file if you want. I'm not. And just hit play blast.
I know what he said.
Take a look.
I know what he said. 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 I know what he said.
So it's not hitting 100%. So maybe I can speed this up. Bring these frames closer or earlier. Hit play again.
I know what he said. I know what he said. I know what he said.
Now the jaw drops, it's only to get your timing down. So it's sort of very important to get your jaw drops on time so that everything else, like when we do the phonemes, it's gonna follow the same timing that you have here. See these yellow keyframes that I have? It's gonna follow the exact same timing. So that's why it's very important that you establish good timing with your jaw drop, so that when you go to your phonemes, your timing is already taken care of. So let's go back, and let's say that's good enough. Now I can keep working on this, but for the sake of this tutorial, let's move forward. So if your character has like this, you have your phonemes over here in your channel box, you know, you can use this. If it doesn't, then you can go ahead and use, for example, the sync controller. If I moved it left and right, it had that U shape and it had that mouse stretch. So you can go ahead and create your phonemes using this controller if you don't have phonemes. But I'm sure every character should have something like this that will allow you to create like a U, and even push the lips closed, so that will work for your second pass. Okay, but for my character, since I have them, and hopefully your character has them too, let's go ahead and use them. Now let me show you the second pass. Now we're dealing with the second pass. Since we have the jaw drops, we have our timing set up. I'm gonna go ahead and just jump to the next keyframe by hitting the greater than, less than shortcut keys. And then I'm going to hit S on my keyboard just to make sure I have set a key on the translation on the X and the Y. So set keys. Because sometimes if I just grab this controller and I move it up and down, see, we're only going to move the translate Y. So it doesn't set a key on the translate X. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have keys on the X and on the Y. And you can verify that by going into your graph editor. So if you look here, you see we have keys on the X, which I haven't moved, so they're still at 0. And we go to translate Y, we have keys here. So I'm not going to worry about this right now. Just wanted to show you. Okay, let's go to the P. We select the P, and you can see we don't have any keys, obviously. So how do we get the same timing for our phonemes that we have for our sync controllers? This is how I do it. Select your sync controller, and then we're gonna add the controller here, P. So shift select P, and now we have both of them selected. Now I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna set keys again. So hit S, move to the next keyframe, hit S, and keep doing this throughout the timeline. So now what I'm doing is I'm copying the keyframes from my sync controller down to the P controller. So if I select the P, now we have keyframes, right? We don't have any movements yet because we haven't set any keys on it over here with the A's and the E's, but we only have keyframes, which is good. That's what I want. I only want the timing. And now we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're only going to concentrate on the P. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this phoneme controller. So let's scrub through this again.
I know what he said.
Now let's start putting in the mouth shapes. So I already have a good A here, so I don't have to go in here and add an A, because it's just going to add to it, and it's going to push the jaw drop even further, which I don't want. So the A is fine. On keyframe 5, I have a mouth shape for an E. So let's try this one. You can undo it and try another one. Maybe this one. I like this one, so let's keep that one. So let's scrub through it. Let's keep the E going here a little bit. And then at frame 10, you hear her saying no, I know, so sort of like an O. Look at it from the side. And you can even combine some of these. So like I'm using the R-O type of sound. I can probably push a W, so it'll bring her lips even further out. So I'll scrub through this. So at frame 13, no. You still want to keep that U shape going. So I want to push that. But maybe not add an RO. Now these controllers, as you can see, if I push it all the way, they go all the way to 10. Now I don't want to push my shapes all the way because uh, when the shapes were created, they were created to give you some. They were created to give you some leeway, right? So if you needed to push it, you can actually push it. But for these characters that sort of look realistic, you don't need to go all the way. Just push it until it looks good. You know, don't use these controllers to the maximum. That's what rookies usually do. They see a controller and then they go, oh, you know, it's a U, so let's really push it. You know, there's a good U. You know, that looks ridiculous. You know, she looks like a duck right there, like Aflac. So you don't want to push your controllers all the way. You know, just use them accordingly to what looks realistic. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So this is a what. I'm gonna add like a E. He. Here's a E. He. Keep it going. Said. Keep that going a little. Push that. And obviously you can go back to your sync controller here and then, you know, tone it down. So go back to the phonemes, tone it down maybe. Go back to the sync controller, tone it down. Go back to the phonemes, maybe push this. And let's hit play.
I know what he said. 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 I know what he said.
So just play this over and over. You know, make sure you're getting some good shapes in there and make sure you're hitting your good timing on it. And never really rely on hitting play here.
I know what he said.
Because this isn't real time. If you want to see your character's mouth shapes and your timing, you have to do a play blast. So always get used to doing a play blast. So this is real timing here.
I know what he said. 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 I know what he said.
So we can probably keep messing around with the ending. So here maybe not drop the jaw so much. Something like that.
I know what he said. I know what he said. I know what he said. I know what he said.
Now this is pretty good. I can keep messing around with this, but for this tutorial I want to keep it pretty short. So like I said, there's only two techniques, two rules for this. So rule number one, start off doing your jaw drops with the sync controller, and then once you have good timing of her jaw going up and down, then you want to go in and add your mouth shapes like the U's and the E's like we've been doing here. And then you can obviously tweak it and polish it and make it smoother by going into your graph editor. So for example, this sync controller, go into my graph editor, make sure that I keep the smooth curve going here. So I can go on my translate Y and keep these smooth, and then probably ease in and out of these, and that should be good.
I know what he said. I know what he said.
Go to your phonemes, go to your graph editor, hit F, make sure you have these nice and smooth. Probably ease in and ease out in the beginning of these. Those look pretty good. Close it, maximize it, and let's test it out.
I know what he said. 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 I know what he said.
So that's pretty good for this tutorial. On the next tutorial, I'm going to show you a faster method. So let me mute this. I'm going to show you a faster method, which is just pretty much using the phonemes. So let's say you have a quick deadline that you need to meet and you don't have time to do 2 passes like we did with the jaw drops and then the phonemes. I'm going to show you the other method, which I actually learned this because I had lost a file for the lip syncing that I did, and then I had to go back and redo it, which I forgot to save it, unfortunately. So make sure you keep saving it, because you're going to lose your files and you have to start over. So actually when I started over, I said, what if I don't do the jaw drops? What if I just go ahead and do the phonemes? So if you have phonemes and you have a good character that can do jaw drops using the phonemes, like say for example the jaw drops are in your phonemes, like the A, you can just use that. So I'm going to teach you how to do the lip syncing using only the phonemes in the next tutorial, which should go a lot faster than this video. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, hopefully it helps you out using or doing your own lip syncing. Subscribe. I'll post up new videos and you guys will be learning a lot, and this is stuff that we use in production, so I'm not making this up. This stuff has been used by professionals and coworkers use it, I use it, and I get great results. And if it helps you, then great. If it doesn't, keep using your own method, and hopefully you can share those methods with me. And I'll see you in the next video.